Time for another coffee with Kilroy. So grab some coffee or a beverage of your choice and sit back with me as I page through today Ghost of the Jungle, a solitaire war game from Mike Lambo. I did a previous page through of Mike's Battles of Medieval Britain, a solitaire war game. And I think I incorrectly said in that video that he had he did a B-17 game. That's a solitaire book game as well, but not done by Mike. And in fact, if you open up this book here, you have books by Mike Lambo right here. So you got he has Fields of Normandy, Battles of Normandy, Ghost of the Jungle, and Battles of Medieval Britain, a solitaire war game. And of course, I have these last two, and I might look at the Fields of Normandy and Battles of Normandy if as I play more of these. These look pretty interesting, so I might look into those. And in fact, Mike was the one that pointed out that I had incorrectly mentioned the B-17 one. I think it's in a similar, it's in a book format, kind of like this, that maybe, and they're usually put together whenever you look at them on a sell site. So maybe that's why I was mistaken. But Mike, if you're watching this one, love to have a copy of Fields and Battles if you got one laying around. Just saying. So this is Ghost of the Jungle, a solitaire war game from Mike Lambo. These are solitaire book games. They are basically a war game that's been condensed into a book. And so it has, these especially have all the trappings of kind of your typical hex encounter war games, in that there are hexes. You don't have counters. You mark on the board where your units are moving or where the enemies are. And there's a built-in AI that you're going to roll dice. And the AI is going to act differently depending on which battle or which scenario that you are playing. So on the back here, it says 3 Squadron of the Australian Special Air Force Service Regiment. Golly, maybe I need some coffee right now. Hold on a second. Let's try that again. 3 Squadron of the Australian Special Air Force Service Regiment, SAS, arrived in Vietnam in June 1966. Their objectives were to undertake reconnaissance patrols and to observe the enemy movement, as well as to conduct offensive missions deep in enemy territory. They often operated in groups as small as 4 and moved slowly through the thick jungle and bushland. The kill ratio of the SAS was unsurpassed by any other Australian unit in Vietnam. They were feared by the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese Army, who referred to them as the Ghost of the Jungle. In the game, it's 1966, and Sergeant Allen, together with his troopers Baker, Clark, and Dixon of the 3rd SAS Division, must undertake covert missions in the jungle of Vietnam in an area swamped by Viet Cong. Danger awaits as they face numerous enemies and difficult conditions. They will need to use stealth, tactics, and good planning to survive. So that's your setup. Let's see if this delivers. So anything about these are full color. The Worthington has a whole series of these, and I've kind of talked about those in the past. You can check out my videos on this. These are in both in my solo playlist, as you can go look there for games that are, focused on solo games or very solo friendly type games. War games, and then also you can look in my bookshelf. Since this is a book, I put this in my bookshelf on a playlist on any books that I talk about or have done video reviews on. So you have your contents here, a little introduction, how the book works. You have objectives, rules, tactical considerations. So those are basically just what it says, a tactical consideration. Those are kind of like cliff notes or little suggestions on how you might want to treat your forces or to survive these scenarios. You have the campaigns, you have setup, adjusting the difficulty, and then there's 12 missions. So this is a little bit different than the Battles of Medieval Britain, which were dealing with actual battles. These are more missions, so these are a little bit more I would say probably generic. Reconnaissance 1, Through the Rocks, Rescue Ops, Swampland, Destroy the HQ. Reconnaissance 2, Eliminate the Viacon Commander, The Valley, Jungle Rescue, Destroy Ammo Dumps, The Clearing, and Search and Return. So you've got 12 missions that you can play in here. And not only do you have 12 different missions, but there's a lot of replayability in these games because of the way the setup is, but also the way that the AI works, and you're going to make different decisions each game. So there is quite a bit of replayability of each of the missions as well. There's an introduction talking about how you're going to be, how this book works and how you need to use it, your objectives, your rules. You've got a little bit of background on your different SAS members here. You've got 4 of them. So this is really small unit tactical, or SUT as I call it, in that you're only dealing with four people on the map at a time. Here's your terrain, map and terrain concepts over here. Game concepts, there's condition, there's action mechanisms. Here's your line of sight. That's going to be very important in a tactical game. Then you've got some like potential obstacles, buildings and forests and the like that might affect line of sight as well. You have your game phases. You have reinforcements. And then here's an example of some of the charts here that are going to be used to how you do your actions and how the AI is going to do its actions. You've got the different die roll is going to tell you what you can do here. You got move, hide, unhide, shoot, grenade, tend, or hand-to-hand. And it explains each one of those here in a little bit more detail. So this is basically the heart of what you're going to be doing. These are your actions. You have the Viet Cong phase, which they're going to be rolling on a chart here, and that's basically their AI. And you have your end of turn event phase. So there might be, it looks like might be in some of the missions, there's end of turn events that might change what's going on, maybe bring in reinforcements or move people around. You have tactical consideration. These are things, just telling you about basic tactics of how you want to maneuver your four guys, and how you want to try to interact with the enemy and try to keep them alive. You can play individual missions, or you can kind of link these together as a campaign. I think that's what that section's about. Here's setup. And then there's also adjusting difficulty. So not only do you have 12 missions, but you can replay each of those missions. Plus, you can also adjust your difficulty for each of those missions. So there is quite a bit of replayability in that regards. At least it looks like there is from the outset. Here's your first mission. And so you're going to have, what units, the starting Viet Cong. Here's their actions. And then here's the end of turn events. And so you've got, here's the SAS action, sorry. So you have the SAS actions. These are the actions that you'll be doing. This is what the Viet Cong will be doing as far as the AI. And then you have your end of turn events. And then you have your map board. And the map boards in these games, and of course has a little tracker for each one of your troopers here too, is on the right underneath the map. On these, I typically try to copy these and then mark them up. I don't like writing in books. I might do a whole episode on that at some point. That kind of gets into the whole, legacy at games that's common in the Euro game world. Some people use trace paper. I mean, there's maybe you put a little bit of laminate in there, or and then have a dry erase, or however you want to do it. But or you can just mark it up. But that's not something I would do. But some people might do that. And each of the missions are going to have basically, this is how they're laid out. You've got your actions, you've got the AI actions, you've got end of turn results, you've got any kind of special rules and reinforcements, then you have the map for each one of the missions. So each one is going to be different. They're going to have different charts here. They're going to have different maps here. And then you're going to make different decisions as you go through this. So, this is... all in all, I think a very interesting series of how they've laid this out. It's different than the Worthington series that's coming out now. This to me looks a little bit more tactical and what your decisions are. This is definitely more small unit tactical type decisions, whereas the Worthington series are more, at least the battle ones like Braveheart and Waterloo, are more static battles. It's the way the battle was lined up that day at a tactical level, and then you're making decisions that are limited, and then trying to eliminate their forces by just crossing them off, and then they're going to react by their AI depending on the battle or scenario or the difficulty level, and then they mark your forces off or do reinforcements or what have you. So again, it's more of a recreation of the battle, what I kind of call the static battle, the way it was set up, and then you're just marking off forces. Where this one is, you're moving around, you're interacting with the terrain and the environment, and then reacting to the enemy, and they're doing stuff to you as well. So very much more of a tactical war game in that regard. So that's what you get. There's all the different missions. You get 12 of them in here, and they're basically 2 pages. You've got all your information over here in charts, and then you have your maps over here. And then there's mission 12, and then I guess because of the way they do the pages, there's always a couple of extra clear pages there that you have. So that is Ghost of the Jungle, a solitaire war game by Mike Lambo. So far, I think there's 4 in the series. There's the Battles of Medieval Britain. There's Ghost, which is, by its name, it's dealing with medieval battles, but actual battles at a tactical level. And then Ghost of the Jungle, which is dealing with scenarios in Vietnam, again, at a very small unit level, four guys on your squad that you're maneuvering around. And then the other 2 are Battles of Normandy, and then what's the other one? Fields of Normandy, and I don't know much about those. I haven't picked those up yet. I've got a lot of Normandy. I don't have a lot, but I have a good coverage of Normandy, so that's why I didn't jump to it. But again, I might look into it. I like solitaire games. I like these solitaire books. I like this format. This is easily stored, easily pulled out, depending on how you're doing the maps. Pretty easy to get to the table and mark up stuff and roll and move and make some decisions. And it doesn't look like it takes a lot of time to do that. So it takes as much time as you want, and that's what I like about solo games. So there you have it. That's the series. Appreciate you guys spending some time with me. As always, I know your time is precious, so any time you spend with me is times you could have been doing something else. You could have been playing games, my God. So thank you. Thank you for spending some time with me, and love to hear your comments on any of my videos, but on this particularly, what do you think about this series? What do you think about this book in particular? Where do you think this is going? Where do you think this whole genre is going? Because there's Worthington, there's Mike Lambo, there's others out there that talk about the B-17 game. There's a Bulge game. There's other games out there that are covering this space now, solo book games. Like it, love it, hate it, don't need it, want to stay away from it. What are your thoughts? Anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks for watching.